Hello, welcome to another episode of History in the Dark. I am your host, Darkness the Curse. And before we begin, as always, thank you so much to my generous patrons, my British Rail critics, and of course my underwater train finders. You are the reason why this content remains just one more thing. And today, we're gonna discuss Columbo. What? We are? Columbo was a TV show, though. We don't really talk about that kind of media on this channel. This is about history. Well, there was an incident involving Columbo that occurred in Romania in 1974 that is so nuts that I feel it is very important that we talk about the fact that this was a thing that absolutely totally happened. This is the story of what I'm going to call the Columbo Near Uprising of Romania. Now, for those unaware, Columbo is an American crime drama television series that starred Peter Falk as the main character, Lieutenant Columbo. He's a homicide detective with the LAPD. There were actually two pilot episodes, one in 1968 and the other in 1971, and after that the show aired on NBC from 1971 to 1978. It also aired less frequently on ABC from 1989 to 2003. So yeah, it was on the air for a long time, and was a bit disconnected overall. But it was a very, very, very good show, rather ahead of the time in terms of its portrayal of things. Columbo is a homicide detective, but he has a particular style about him. He's unassuming, but he's actually a tactical genius, and he often knows exactly who the killer is, but has to find a way to trap them, sometimes called gotcha moments in the Columbo fandom. He's known for a few sayings such as, "just one more question," or "one more thing." The show naturally followed a very particular pattern, but it was a very addicting pattern. It was also unique in that it went against the whodunit element, because each episode started with the murder, showing who the murderer was. We know who it was, but what the audience really wants to know is how Columbo is going to figure out what we already know. It kind of did the whodunit formula in reverse in a way, but it was very successful. The fandom of the show is strong to this day, in many different countries, including, yes, Romania. Now, back when the show was airing, Romania was still under communist rule, and by that point, the government did have some leeway in terms of how much Western media could be consumed by the general population, but not enough that they could necessarily watch all of it. The citizens were well aware that there was a cap on how much outside entertainment they'd be allowed to see. Columbo, however, became such a runaway hit in Romania. The people loved it. And when the 1974 season ran out of episodes, they actually started revolting to a degree that alarmed the Romanian government. The people of Romania knew the rule about the cap on how much media they were allowed to consume from the West. But Columbo was a different phenomenon entirely, and the problem was the Romanian government couldn't actually offer any leeway on the rule even if they wanted to, because in this instance, it had nothing to do with that cap. They had allowed the people to see every episode of Columbo. It was just the 1974 season didn't have all that many episodes. Only about 6, which was 2 less than the previous season's 8. But the Romanians were convinced that their government was lying to them because it wouldn't have been the first time, and they wanted more of their Columbo. Now! And they were going to start a revolution if they didn't get it. Now, the Romanian Revolution did actually eventually happen, but not until 1989. This was 1974. And their government actually reached out to America for help with the problem. Because no matter what they said, their people were just going to call them liars, even though in this instance they really weren't lying. They just had no more Columbo to show them. The US State Department actually invited Falk himself to a meeting in a New York hotel room with a Romanian representative. Falk described this incident both in a David Letterman interview as well as in his memoirs. And Falk really wasn't keen on offering any assistance only because, well, he really didn't know anything about the Romanian government or their people. It wasn't the sort of thing he was well versed in. How was he supposed to help? But, according to the Romanian representative, as he put it, Columbo is Romania's Elvis Presley. Columbo was very popular everywhere it aired, but in Romania, it was extremely popular. They loved it, they adored it, and they needed more. Now! And their government was clearly holding out on them, because they're filthy communists! But in this case, no, they weren't. But the people needed to be convinced of that so they could settle down and be patient for more episodes. And it was the opinion of both the US State Department as well as the Romanian government that if Peter Falk himself explained to the people of Romania that, hey, look, your government's actually telling the truth, there aren't any more episodes right now, but we are filming more, then that should be enough to settle things down. Falk did agree to do this, and he read a speech that has since been leaked onto WikiLeaks of all things. I'm gonna read it for you in my best Columbo impression, though admittedly mine isn't exactly perfect, but I'm gonna try, just for you guys. Oh, excuse me. Do you have a minute? I'm Lieutenant Columbo. Sometimes I'm known as Peter Falk. When an actor portrays a role, he hopes he's creating a character that the audience can identify with, and from what I've heard here in Hollywood about Romania's acceptance of the Columbo show, I guess we must be doing something right. Seriously, I can't tell you how much everyone connected with the Columbo show feels about receiving such heartwarming news. We would like to thank Romanian television for having put us on the air on Saturdays and Sundays, but most of all of us, myself and the crew and the other actors, we want to thank the Romanian people for their great response to our show. I hope someday I could come to your country and enjoy the traditional culture and hospitality of the Romanian people. In the meantime, Columbo will be seeing you again on television this fall. Until then, once again, my thanks and my best to everybody. Noroxi Revedere, which translates in Romanian to good luck and goodbye. And it worked. The people were willing to take Peter Falk, Columbo himself, at his word on the matter, and they did receive their Columbo episodes that fall, as was promised to them. The Romanian government dodged a possibly literal bullet on the matter, and would have to wait until 1989 for the actual revolution to take place, which was violent and bloody and caused many people to actually die. But, for the moment, things stabilized. People went about their lives again, and Columbo as a show had a nice, long, successful career. To this day, some people still don't believe that this ever happened, but it really did. It sounds insane, but to be honest, that does sound like the power of media, especially when you consider that at the time, Romania was behind the Iron Curtain. People were only allowed so much entertainment, and as a result, when they were exposed to it, they got hooked because, well, it was something they didn't receive very often, and Columbo was just that good. So when it was suddenly taken away from them, yeah, they got furious. So, given the context of a somewhat oppressed society, being given something good and thinking they were being robbed of it, it's only natural that some people kind of snapped. A real snap, again, would not happen until 1989, and that's a whole nother story that I could go into some other time if you guys want. But for now, that's the story about how a lack of Columbo almost caused an early Romanian revolution. And with that, a special thank you goes to all my underwater train finders. Sumdo267, Orange Glass, Royal Hudson 2860, Benjamin Owens, Panzer Kitsu 131-232, Mr. Black Rose, Josh Johnson, Metal for Life Guy, Anzac A1, Arthur Roy, DM Trouble Typhoon, Tommy Rossini, Lord Captain Von Thrust III, Joshua Long, Brian, Jack Carson's Rare Videos, Hayden DeGrow, Master of None, Dr. Racer 78, Ohio Trucker 1, Lord Hoth 444, Alaric Jaspers, The Baxter, that guy with a beard, NG5, Mark Holding, Mercenary Revy, Lock Kraken, and Crystal Morgan. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.